Say the Pledge of Allegiance.
It'd be great. Out there in Zoom land.
Yeah, there you go.
She can hear us.
Can we hear?
I did.
She said yes and
She
then
said I
hung
can
back
hear
up
you.
again.
Hang on a second. Hey, Julie, can you talk?
Yes. What's up?
She's gagged.
We're just
but yes.
checking the sound.
Okay. Can you hear me okay?
Can you hear
can.
me now?
I don't know that
They're hearing devices.
What?
What?
We can hear you now.
Right.
Between hearing and the old people eyeballs, I don't know. All right. I'd like to call the Town Commissioners Working Meeting for February 25th, 2025 to order. If we could all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Jessica, can you, behind you, could you lead us? Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Tonight, we're going to be talking about the MS4 permitting preparation because we were overlooked and should have been on this. It's a process, and so I asked for some oversight so that we can figure out everything that we need to do, and for anybody that doesn't understand what the MS4 permitting is.
Okay, good, because I have nothing for that. You're sending that out now?
It already was sent
No,
out
it was sent
today.
out. I
You're
read
not
it.
sending
Why don't I
to
get
his
these?
Charlestown email.
Are you sending it to the town email? For me?
It looked like there were like 12 email addresses on it.
you usually send it to town one and personal.
Nope.
Just send it to Holly. Holly will make sure you get it.
Oh,
You
so
only
send
sent it to his
her.
personal, you didn't send it to his Charlestown.
That's why I never get these things. I'm that mushroom.
Hold, please. Okay, let's start the presentation, Brian.
Well, with us, we have Jessica from Design Engineers.
I don't know where to stand so that you guys feel comfortable. I can.
Well, yeah.
I'm fine.
Yeah, wow.
Weird. Casual. Good evening. I know most of you. If
Yeah.
you recall, I'm Jessica Sipe. I am with Dewberry Engineers, and Brian asked if I could come and give you all a presentation on the MPDS MS4 permit, what it means, sort of demystify it for you. I'll try to put it in layman's terms. I have a tendency to get super technical and get way in the weeds. So feel free to stop me at any time and ask me questions as we go along. And the goal today really is to tell you what the permit is. And we can talk about what it means for you to have that coverage, what you're going to have to do, what you're already doing that is going to comply with that permit. So, Brian, if you want to, is there a way to like make it full screen?
Yeah, what she said.
People eyeball.
So, as I said, we'll talk about the MS4 permit to begin with. A little bit of background on why it's required, why the town is required to get it. I'll walk through general information on the permit, what's required underneath it, and then we can talk about timeline, both once you're covered, what that means, what timeline you have to meet, and also the latest and greatest from the Maryland Department of Environment with respect to MDE in terms of like when they anticipate the new permit coming out, but that I'll caveat that is up in the air and it seems to change on a regular basis. So first, in the stormwater world, we love using lots of acronyms, lots of letters. So MPDS MS4, it stands for the National Pollutant Discharge Elimination System, Municipal Separate Storm Sewer System. And it is, to kind of give a little bit of a background and history of where it came from, what the regulations are. It goes all the way back to when the Clean Water Act was first implemented in 1972. The Clean Water Act focused on trying to improve polluted runoff. It focused mostly on wastewater discharges and didn't focus as much on stormwater. In 1987, the Clean Water Act was expanded to incorporate stormwater, which basically means that there were requirements to try to reduce pollutants that would run off roads, be discharged out of pipes into water bodies. In 1990, they started the NPDES MS4 Phase 1 regulations, and that basically started the process of implementing these NPDES MS4 permits for communities that had 100,000 people in population or greater. So we're talking larger counties. Beecher County is actually a Phase 2, but the Phase 1s within Maryland are Frederick County, Baltimore City, Montgomery County, for example. In 1999, they narrowed the focus on those regulations and developed the Phase 2 permit requirement, which still has many of the same requirements. It's not quite as comprehensive, and that is targeted for much smaller communities. If you could go to the next slide, I think that there's the Charlestown actually. Well, so this map here is from, this actually was provided by MDE, and it shows the different communities within Maryland that are covered under this MS4 permit. So in our terminology, we talk about our Phase 1s as large and mediums, meaning they have two different thresholds of population. It doesn't really matter. They still have to meet the same criteria. Those are all of the larger counties within the state. And then we have Phase 2. There are several larger counties that are covered as Phase 2. Cecil County is one of them, as well as smaller municipalities. Elkton is a Phase 2, Northeast is a Phase 2, and the proposal from MDE is for Charlestown to become a Phase 2.
Perryville?
Perryville is 2. Yep.
Phase 2, we're gonna be.
They're a Phase 2, yeah. I didn't list all of them in the county. And so if you could advance to the next slide, the threshold. Oh, okay, well, so why are these permits required? And I kind of alluded to that with the formation of the Clean Water Act. It's important, obviously, for protecting local water quality. It provides environmental protection, both from for our natural resources, for our recreation, for our employment, and then obviously health and safety. Contaminated runoff can obviously be hazardous to human health, can be hazardous to our animals. So all of these regulations are aimed at trying to reduce incidents of polluted and contaminated water.
Are these mainly just communities? Are they implemented for any businesses?
Not under the MS4 program. The MS4 program is all for the public sector, for municipalities, for counties, for towns. Private sector is covered under different NPDES permits. So there is one that regulates stormwater discharges from properties that are classified as industrial. So those could be, auto mechanic garages, quarries, aviation facilities, stuff, mining and all of that. There are several different, there's a slew of permits under the larger NPDES umbrella. Some of them are they're related strictly to stormwater. There's some that are groundwater related, some are water, wastewater related, and they target different industries, all under the umbrella of the Clean Water Act and trying to improve and remove pollutants from discharges that get discharged into our local water bodies.
So your building products would already be covered under the industrial one, since they're
I
the,
believe so.
the
they should.
quarry and stuff?
Yes.
Yeah.
There are separate mining permits that are
Mhm.
included under the NPDES
Right.
umbrella,
Yeah.
and then monitored and maintained by MDE.
That's a good question. That's probably something we can look up.
Well, I mean, it's good based on what we're kind of working on.
When they move further down, that's kind of why I was.
Well, and so, not to jump ahead, but as part of the process and preparation for Charlestown to get covered under this permit, there would be an exercise to evaluate the town and evaluate properties that are owned by other entities that may be covered under a different permit, because those can be carved out of your responsibility. So, for example, State Highway Administration, you've got state roads that run through town, or if you have county-owned property, they are covered under a MS4 permit of themselves. So they have to meet all of these same requirements. So they would be more of like a collaborator or coordinator. Yes, they run through your town. They technically are responsible for minimizing and reducing any pollutants that run off of their properties. But because they're within your town and within your town boundary, if you see something that is coming off of their properties, then it is your responsibility to coordinate with them and work to eliminate that. But it's ultimately, they are like the ones truly responsible for cleaning it up or, resolving it.
And the oversight is done by who?
If it's within the town, I think it's, I guess it depends on the scenario. And again, we're kind of jumping forward a little bit, but they, as part of the permit, the town will have responsibilities to implement minimum control measures. And part of that is good housekeeping and just being generally aware of what activities are occurring within your town boundaries. And while you aren't responsible for eliminating a discharge from one of those properties, you are responsible for notifying them and saying, hey, you're discharging oily liquid off of the property. It's running into our town infrastructure, and you need to work to eliminate that.
But then
and stop it.
who oversees that? Is it the state?
Yes.
I mean, we wouldn't have authority over to do something like
Correct.
that.
Well, yes.
We could
yes.
sit there and tell them all day long, but if they don't want to
Who
fix
has
it.
a hammer?
Who has the hammer? And I think it's I think it depends. And Brian and I talked about this a little bit earlier today. There's different scenarios, but ultimately it is MDE. And so if there's something that is identified, then, and you're not able to resolve it, the MDE has the enforcement authority to come in and basically say.
Well, that's an interesting question too, because think about State Highway for a second. They have an issue. They're at the same level as Merit and
Mhm.
how's that work?
Carefully.
But
Two
why are
state
these,
agencies.
why are these called permits? Aren't these guidelines or what's?
No, it is
Why is it a permit?
It is a permit. So
What-
once the new permit, it's a general permit. The phase 2 is a general permit. So there are, it is regulation and it's part of COMAR.
Mhm.
And when the new permit is issued by MDE, the town will have to submit an NOI, a notice of intent, to
Mhm.
obtain coverage under that general permit.
Right.
And it authorizes discharges from your stormwater infrastructure into
Right.
local water bodies.
Okay.
So we're getting a permit for something that the state's making us do.
Yes.
How much does it cost?
How much you got?
Depends how much pollution there is.
I mean, how much does it cost to implement the program or
With the
to?
permit.
Oh,
What's the fee for the permit?
There is no fee for
Oh,
that. There's
okay.
no fee for the
Seems
permit.
kind of sketchy.
But we have requirements that will have.
We'll have to put it into place.
Yes, and if we
build up.
don't, then we can get in trouble because we don't.
There's where it goes.
Usually a permit costs something.
Well, but also
Well-
usually a permit requires you to do something
They do.
in guidelines.
They do.
Usually a
Or, yeah.
permit is something you submit for something you want.
Yeah,
This is something-
kind of, that's,
This is something
that's
that
kinda
they're
why,
making you
that-
do,
yeah.
Before
if you're getting a permit,
yeah,
Yeah.
which makes no sense.
okay.
Better.
Okay.
Sorry. Squirrel.
Squirrel moment, sorry.
We're moving on from the fish. So-
Like Charlestown.
So I kept alluding, I was waiting for this slide. So why now? Why is Charlestown required to get coverage under the permit? And as I had mentioned, it is, for phase 2s, there's 2 triggering factors. to be within an, census designated urban area. I always get that backwards. Census designated urban area, and based on the last census, a portion of the town is within that. And then you also have to meet a population threshold over 1,000 people in population. So, I think the communication from MDE thus far has been, well, you guys probably should have been picked up when the last permit was issued 6 years ago now. And I don't know how you flew under the radar. Be thankful, I guess. Thought you another 6 years.
We are thankful.
I think Charlestown's been able to dodge a lot of things in the past.
So, the map on the right kind of just shows where that census designated area is, and that'll come into play with one of the requirements of the permit and part of like the utility, stormwater utility and fees. So what is included in this permit? The base of the permit are the 6 minimum control measures. And then there's a component for Chesapeake Bay restoration, which requires you to evaluate your impervious surfaces within the town boundaries and determine what's been treated versus not treated from a water quality perspective. And 20% of the untreated impervious has to be treated through restoration.
I'm gonna ask a dumb question.
No dumb questions.
So is this something we are gonna have to do? It is not up to Charlestown. This is going to have to happen.
Yes.
Reason why is because we have to be clear with the town. When they ask us, well, why is this costing us
Right.
this? And why is this costing?
Yes, it is. It will be, once the new permit is issued, you will be required, I believe it's within 6 months of the final permit, to submit you just have to submit your NOI. That's all. You have to submit the NOI for coverage within 6 months of the permit being finalized. Once the permit's been finalized and you have your NOI in place, then that starts. It's a 5-year permit. And the first year is really about building your program, figuring out what you're already doing, what you need to do, and sort of developing your schedule for getting there. And then from there, it's continuing to implement those practices and programs and reporting on them annually. It is a requirement. Once you obtain coverage, and once MDE says you need coverage, you can fight it, but
Well, it's
Yeah.
just something when something happens to the people in the town, we know,
wanna
okay,
know why.
why.
yes, yeah, it is a requirement.
Because we grew 2 sizes that day. Pretty much.
Wasn't even Christmas.
No.
Yeah, yeah.
Then they're gonna ask, why'd you submit for the permit?
We didn't. They came to
Why would you
us.
request to do this to yourself?
Yeah.
Why would you want to?
Well, you know, that building that took place, that kind of had something to do with it.
So the minimum control measures, or MCMs, there are 6 of them. They include public education and outreach, public involvement and participation, illicit discharge detection and elimination, construction site stormwater runoff control, post-construction stormwater management, and pollution prevention and good housekeeping. So over the next couple slides, I kind of break down
And as this,
generally what this is.
This,
what
this
each are.
here. You will.
So public education and outreach, the goal of this is to help educate your community about stormwater and pollution and why it is important for them to care about it, why it is important to try to implement practices to improve it. It can include developing brochures, it can be booklets, newsletters, websites, it can be posters, and Charlestown is doing a lot of that already. You're doing a lot of outreach. So most of your education and outreach is all going to qualify already. And now it's just a matter of bean counting, documenting what you're doing, how many are distributing, how many hits on a website you get, or that sort of stuff, and then reporting that on an annual basis.
We think that the weighed-in thing that we do, that
Yes,
definitely.
that falls under MCM2, which is the public involvement and participation. This is about fostering opportunities within the community, within staff to help with those cleanups, giving, you have public meetings, you have the wade in, stream cleanups, storm drain stenciling, tree planting days, Earth Day events, all of that, it counts for towards your public involvement criteria. So it's just really like wrapping it all up at the end of each year and submitting to MDE and documenting that this is what we're doing and this is how we're providing that information out to the community. MCM3, this is one that the town is not currently doing because you had no requirement to do this. So what this is you have to develop a program to be able to inspect and enforce what's called illicit discharges. An illicit discharge is anything that's not just fresh rainwater. So it could be somebody's sanitary sewer that is illegally connected into the storm drain system instead of the sanitary sewer and is discharging into inlets and then just draining straight out of the pipe into the river. It could be someone who doesn't know any better, who changes their oil and dumps the oil down the drain. That is, so those were a restaurant that may have a grease trap that overflows and your fats, oils, or grease could get into your storm drain system when it rains if the area around the grease trap is dirty because of a spill. And so part of this program is understanding where all your stormwater infrastructure is with respect to your pipes, your swales, your inlets, which you already more or less know. You guys have a pretty robust GIS layer that documents all of that. And then looking at where the ultimate outfalls are for that and doing what's called a dry weather screening. So you have to wait for 72 hours of no rain, and then you inspect these outfalls to determine if there's any flow coming out during dry weather. If there is, usually that is an indicator that there could be an illicit discharge. Sometimes it's just groundwater that gets into the system. There's a process, you have test kits that, you collect a sample and you run these tests and it can tell you whether it's got detergents in it, whether it has chlorine in it, whether there's different kinds of pollutants in it, which help to sort of narrow down where that discharge might be coming from, or tells you it's just groundwater.
Is that something that the town, we would do that? Like
Yeah, the
Public
town or
Works?
a consultant would do it.
Okay.
Yeah, would do it for you.
I'm assuming this includes like a gray line, water line. Cause you said detergents and stuff. I'm thinking from a home or
Just
something that,
water pumping out to the.
This is
Yeah.
something that we're not involved in.
no, well, we will
You
be.
will be
We will, but we're
required
not
to
doing
do
this.
So
Oh,
yeah.
this is something we're not now, but it is
It is,
coming.
it
Okay.
will, you have to cover,
My
you'll
mistake.
have to develop a program to identify these illicit discharges. So if you have wash water discharging into the system instead of into a septic system and drain field or a sanitary sewer line,
Or just the
Then-
field, maybe?
if it's failing, yes, so that would be, the field is fine. If it's discharging,
Time out. It's not a field above a field. It has to
It's a-
be, it has to
A
be.
field, a field above a stormwater.
It has to be a
Um,
sewer field. It has to be a
yes, it
septic.
has
That
to be
goes
attached
into
to the
That's
septic.
under. septic.
No, I know,
It's like
I'm
pumping
looking
it out
at,
To like playground. Is that what you meant?
Well, when we did our drive-through, we remember, I don't remember where in proximity to what for the system, but there was all that, yeah, and like laundry looking stuff.
So there is a natural occurring mineral that you can see foam in a stream. It'll generate
Okay.
foam. It may not be an indicator
be.
that it is
Thought we
wash
saw
water,
some lines sticking out too. though.
but it is possible.
no,
I'm not
Can't
saying that
remember.
it's
It's
not.
illegal for anything.
It
to
was
be
by a retention pond.
out
over
into a
by-
yard.
I think it was more of a rape, a natural thing as well.
Well, that's what the test kit.
Right,
Yes,
so
but
there's,
I
yeah, so
can't.
people.
Yeah, I
can
can't remember
extend-
exactly.
People can extend their roof leaders down.
Yeah.
Those can discharge.
That's
Some
rainwater.
pumps, that's rainwater.
Some
Some
pumps
pumps
will
can,
discharge outside and it could
yes.
fill up with laundry.
And then
contaminants in
that would
there.
be considered illicit If
If
it's
you're-
just, if your sump pump is just discharging groundwater
Yeah,
out
then
of
you're
your
fine.
basement, that's fine.
But if it's hooked into your
Your
laundry discharge, yeah.
Laundry, then that is discharging.
Well, that's the whole problem.
And that's
Yeah.
why you have the test kit, because that's,
Yeah.
It's made-
Detergent.
yes,
Good catch.
yes, yes.
That'll be
And
a
so
lot of fun.
occasionally, so sometimes these things are hard to find. You'll get, you know, when I was with Frederick County, we would get phone calls from residents. You know, there's a pipe across the street, my neighbor, you know, every so often I just see this discharge coming out of this pipe. I have no idea what it is. And we had a consultant under contract, and they would come out and they would investigate it, and they would try to make a collection of the discharge. They would test it, determine if it's just a sump pump discharging groundwater, or if it was attached to the gray water system discharging laundry or something like that. And so, but even if you had, so those are kind of those episodic, like you get one-offs where it's reported from the community. You would investigate those as part of this IDDE program to try to determine if those are illicit or not. And then,
Question,
yes.
since we are so close to the river and our ground level and groundwater is like this far into the ground. So if we go into rainy season, I see the storm drains are gonna be running longer than 72 hours. So, is that something that we would take into consideration, or should we still be testing at 72 hours because of that?
So I think you can take that into consideration. Something else that you all will need to take into consideration is tidal influence. So your outfalls into the river are tidally, you know, impacted. So at high tide, they could be completely underwater. So that water will back up into the storm drain system. And so part of that process is working your way up the system and finding a place that is no longer impacted by tide. And if you're in a dry period, more than 72 hours, then, and there's no discharge there, then you can say you have no dry weather discharge. But to go back to your question, Renee, the guidance says 72 hours since you had a storm event that's greater than 1/10 of an inch. But the testing, if you did a test, it would tell you that it's just groundwater, and then that's documented. And I would say if you have an area that you are routinely testing and you are routinely getting the same thing, it's just groundwater, it's just groundwater, it's just groundwater, then that can all be documented. And I would recommend that then you potentially look for an alternative location to be testing, because the goal isn't to just test for the sake of testing. The goal is to try to find those areas where you do have polluted runoff discharging into your storm drain system.
Part of the plan is we would identify where the underground streams are popping up and going towards that. Okay.
Yeah.
Is there a percentage, a number that you have to do? Like,
Yes, there is a
in a
minimum,
year?
there is a minimum, and I was supposed to look that up this afternoon because it's been a while since I've
Because
looked at
Tom
it.
was gonna ask that question.
Because we knew that you were gonna ask that question.
Well,
And so
I mean, if you have
there is.
2.5 square miles of stuff in here, you might say you have to
It's
do.
just a couple of years.
you
And
know,
it's only, you do it every year. So you test it once and then you don't have to come back and for a year, and you can rotate through. So let's say you have to do 5 a year. You do those 5, and then next year you plan to do another 5. So you don't necessarily have to go back to the same 5. Another option is if you have areas of town that are known hotspots or could be have higher potential for polluted runoff, industrial activities, commercial activities, you may want to prioritize those areas more regularly, because those are going to be where you're going to get hits.
How, in the past, the communities you've worked with, how do they implement this and make this happen? Like if we run into, I'm always a worst case scenario guy.
Mhm.
We run into person A, they're just not gonna comply. What are some things that you
So I
experienced in the past?
some of the things, and again, Brian and I were talking about this earlier today. Depending on the situation. So let's say you have someone who has illegally plumbed their washing machine into their sump pump and the sump pump's dumping it out. That could fall under a plumbing code. And so you could coordinate with Cecil County to investigate and evaluate and drive a change because they are not compliant with current plumbing codes is one thing. Or if you have septic that's failing, that, you know, you'd work with the health department. MDE can also be a resource because ultimately they are the responsible for enforcement. So when I was with Frederick County, if we had one of those scenarios, we would reach out to MDE and basically like talk about what's the approach here. You know, we don't have the authority to, and this person is refusing to comply. What are our next steps? How do we resolve this?
Well, it's set up as a thing where, hey, you pay a $500 fine first time. Okay, well, I'm just gonna do that. The next time it's $1,000. It's gonna cost me $20,000 to fix this. It doesn't change anything.
The town would create its own illicit discharge detection and elimination ordinance, just like any other town law. If someone doesn't comply, you put a lien on the property, you get in front of the district court judge. You count the number of letters or days that go by when you notice a violation. It's $500 a day per ordinance. Get in front of the judge and it's $20,000.
You have to make it with something with teeth.
I mean, and in Omar, within Code of Maryland regulations and in the federal regulations, there are fines and you know, could be even criminal charges that can be brought for failure to comply.
So we could go past our municipality into county, state,
Yes.
federal.
Let's look at Mark here. What's the number?
Quiz time.
Sorry.
So we'll look at
I
it.
wasn't expecting that
Does
question.
this imply,
All hard questions come back.
is,
No, I'm sorry. I didn't mean that.
Oh, I need to answers, questions I need to make sure I get, questions I get answered for tomorrow.
Yeah.
Bye.
Do the hard.
to have somebody or some person or some company, does this imply that this would take an additional employee, an additional town employee to fulfill all the needs, of screening and testing and all this?
It could be, it could also be done through a contract. Dewberry supports Cecil County. We do all of their
Right.
IDDE investigations. So those are the options. You can either have a town.
So it's expensive.
So is Perryville, is Perryville Northeast already involved?
Yes.
Well, then just kick the bill to them if they're used to it.
That's the way you think.
Just trying to help a brother out.
They are not difficult tests to
Mhm.
administer.
Right.
So it could be something that a town employee could
It
do.
depends on the
could
work
do,
plan.
But it depends on the work plan, right, and the budget.
How
We're
long
gonna have to
until
put
this one has to be implemented?
So the first year is really like developing
The plan.
developing the plan and establishing what authority is needed within the town to be able to perform the inspections. And then if you find an illicit discharge, having the ability to enforce it.
Okay.
And, you know, developing your SOP, so to speak, of like, okay, here's how we're gonna identify our
Yeah,
outfalls each year. This is the procedure we're gonna follow
Yeah,
for
I
testing
gotcha.
and all that.
it really was just the timeframe.
Yeah, yeah. So within that first year, developing the plan and then starting to implement.
Mhm.
You're not expected to start it on day one.
No, but the first one came out at 6 months, so I'm assuming that 1 year is concurrent to the 6 months and not actually 18 months.
Yeah.
So. Busy first year.
You might have to take this out of your salary and maybe part of yours too, Richard.
Yeah, it's a sacrifice.
We're not gonna get very far. On what I make.
MCM4 is construction site stormwater runoff. While this is included in the permit and you are supposed to comply with this, the town doesn't implement sediment and erosion control. That is still county at the soil conservation district, at the county level and at MDE's level. So the responsibility for you all would be to, what you would report at each year would be, you know, we coordinated with the county or the soil conservation district. We ensured that grade sediment and erosion control and grading permits were obtained before we issued any town permits, if those are necessary, that kind of stuff. But there's not anything really any different that you would need to do for this because it is the responsibility of the county to implement it. They still have the authority. MCM5 is post-construction stormwater management. You all do handle your own stormwater. You reviewed plans that are submitted associated with development. You've already mapped the VMPs and the stormwater infrastructure that you have within the town. You'll need to make sure that you are conducting regular inspections. So that's triennial. Once every 3 years, you're supposed to inspect all of the facilities to determine if they're functioning as originally designed. And if not, then issuing a notice to the owners that they need to do whatever maintenance is required based on the inspection.
The stormwater master plan that we worked with you guys, this can actually help us with everything that we're doing? Okay.
And then MCM6 is pollution prevention and good housekeeping. And this is really about, you know, aiming to keep your properties as clean as possible. So you'll have to identify what the property type is and what the activities are that occur on that property, and then identify and implement practices that help to eliminate potential discharges. So if you had for example, if you had a highway ops, like a road yard with salt, you want to make sure you keep that salt covered at all times. It's okay during active loading and unloading, but when you are no longer in a snow event, you want to make sure all that salt's swept up, it's covered, and is not exposed to rainwater. And so that would be part of your good housekeeping plan. Those are general practices. To be honest, a lot of people are already doing this. You may already have on your town property stuff that you do on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, on a monthly basis. It's just a matter of documenting those and making sure that the staff that work on those properties are aware of what they have to do, and then implementing staff training. So again, part of understanding what the requirements are as part of an employee working on a county or a town property, they need to be aware of if they see something, they don't just turn away and ignore that spill, the oil spill, you know, they got to clean it up. They need to report it, that kind of stuff. And then the other component of the permit is the impervious surface restoration, and this is associated with the Chesapeake Bay total maximum daily load. So reducing the pollutants discharged to the Chesapeake Bay, and the way that MDE tracks all of that is they look for restoration practices. So that would be, you know, there's a whole guidance document for all these different types of projects, whether it's a stormwater management facility, stream restoration, they all have pollutant load reductions associated with them, associated with the nitrogen, the phosphorus, and the sediment. And so it's developing a restoration plan. And I think so that's part of that first year, is doing that baseline analysis, figuring out what your target is. But some of the efforts that you already are implementing can count towards that. And that's part of what Michelle's going to talk about too, in terms of like the analysis of the water utility fee and figuring out what the costs are associated with that. I've talked about annual reporting. There is a progress report that's attached to the permit as an appendix, and the town will be required to submit an annual report to MDE In years, annually, you have to report on your impervious area restoration, and then in years 2 and 4, you talk about your MCMs and you document everything that you've done in those two-year chunks. And then timeline, we've already kind of talked about this. So in year 1 of your permit, you're developing your programs to implement your 6 MCMs, and you're reporting on your progress for getting those programs up and running. And then from years 1 through 5, you continue to implement and you document your progress. And then in year 5, you have to say, hey, we're demonstrating full implementation of the requirements under this permit. And then thereafter, it's just you're continuing to implement those practices and reporting on your progress.
We could literally be in compliant now, 5 years from now, and then we're just doing the right stuff.
Correct.
So there's any, you don't have to get better.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we have multiple marinas in town. What about like containment of oil spills or anything like that? Are we responsible for that, or is that MDE because it's on the water? Where do things?
Where's the line?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
So
And or campgrounds.
And washing of the boats and all that.
Yeah.
yes, so marinas are under the industrial stormwater permit. They're considered
Right.
an industrial activity. So they should
Be
have
monitoring themselves.
They should have a program, and
Mhm.
as part of your permit is to, and that you can look at that, you can look all that up on MDE's website. You should be
Mhm.
able to, they have a permit data. See,
I think that's something else. But it overlaps.
I mean, all of it, yeah, all of it there is overlap. But because they are within your town limits,
Mhm.
once you're covered by the MS4, yes, you.
And we share some responsibility
some
of policing it.
Yeah, that's it.
And then, this is the $1 million question, like, when do you guys have to start this? When are you gonna have coverage? So this is always up in the air and changing. The latest from MDE is they hope to have a draft permit out to all of the potential permittees by spring, early summer. So they are working on drafting it right now. And that would be distributed to everybody. You could review it. There'll be conversations back and forth with MDE about, hey, we can do this, we can't do that, we don't like this, we don't like that. Then they issue what's called a tentative determination. That puts it out to everybody. It puts it in the register, and it is open for public comment. And there's a 90-day public comment period. And everybody submits comments. There'll be the environmental groups, the municipalities will probably submit comments. Private property owners submit comments. And then once that 90-day comment period is over, MDE takes all those comments, they review everything, they determine whether they address all the comments, they determine whether they need to make any changes to the draft permit. And if not, then they issue that final determination. And once that final determination is issued, that's what starts that 6-month clock for you have to submit your NOI and then to obtain coverage and then go from there.
Tentatively, right now, we're looking at a year. Or implementation starts.
Correct. Yeah. And that can change because they said they were going to have the draft permit out at the end of 2024. Now they're saying spring, summer. So,
Run at its best.
at this point, any of the jurisdictions that are covered under the phase 2 currently, that permit has just been administratively extended and will continue to be administratively extended until sounds familiar, until the new permit is issued. So, I put big caveats around that. It could happen faster. It's just unlikely. Likely it'll be longer.
Ever since MD told us that we were gonna come into the program, that's been getting pushed back.
They lost a key staff person. partway through the year last year, he passed away suddenly. So that kind of put a huge hole in their program, and it set back some of the stuff that the progress and stuff that they were working towards. And so they've still been trying to kind of fill that gap. And so that has certainly delayed some stuff. But hopefully will be a draft out soon.
We're looking at 2027.
Don't put me on the record.
Yeah, I was being optimistic.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
Jump into Michelle's presentation.
Sure.
We can talk about the budget.
You did the easy part.
Thank you.
Of course, thank you.
You can tell us all the grants we're gonna get.
Opposite.
Michelle's here as part of it.
I'm here as part of a grant, so yeah, so sure, I'll tell you about the grants you're gonna get. So my name is Michelle Kukolas. I'm with the Environmental Finance Center at the University of Maryland, and I'm here to talk to you about the money and the stormwater fee. So I'll just start off with a little bit about who we are and what we do. So the Environmental Finance Centers are a network of centers across the country. The one at the University of Maryland, we work throughout all of EPA Region 3. So we cover Virginia, Maryland, Delaware, Pennsylvania, West Virginia, and the District of Columbia, both inside and outside of the Bay watershed. And so our main goal is to provide tools and information and resources to build community capacity to help you figure out how you're going to pay for your resource protection and your restoration priorities. We have sort of three main buckets that we work out of. We do a lot of capacity building and training, everything from like local government leadership training. We do online and virtual workshops. We have something called the Municipal Online Stormwater Training Center, or the MOST Center, which is a suite of online courses and things that people can take. There's also white papers and project spotlights and all sorts of things on there. We do, as the name implies, a lot of policy analysis and financial assessment. So policy review, financing strategies, which is what I'm going to be talking about this evening, budget analysis, program evaluation. And then we do a ton of community outreach and facilitation, both on the like larger scale level, but everything from like HOAs to like major jurisdictions. So we do a lot of work with outreach campaigns, facilitating stakeholder engagement, conducting focus groups, managing surveys and interviews. And so a lot of the stuff that you have to do for your MCMs, we are around to help you with, particularly MCMs 1 and 2, which are the ones that relate to the community engagement and education. All right, next slide. We are the EPA Region 3 Water Infrastructure Technical Assistance Provider, which is what brings me here this evening. So 2.5 years ago, I think now, I lose track of time, the EPA created these water technical assistance centers. You can see all of the ones that are listed there. We are the only one in Region 3. And so what this does is it gives us funding to come out and help folks like yourselves free of charge to help you meet your water infrastructure needs. So we have been working with Brian on a couple different things, some stuff related to some sort of like capacity initiatives, CIP kind of stuff with one of our subs, working with through the EPA to do some I&I testing. And then this stuff that I'm here talking about tonight with the stormwater fee is all covered under this water infrastructure technical assistance for free. And so this is a 5-year project. We can provide assistance at any stage in the process. I'm the team lead for Maryland, and then my coworker Jenny Egan also works with me in Maryland. And so this just gives you an idea of the different types of services that we can provide. So we see planning and assessment, project development, partnerships and engagement, funding and financing stuff, and then program management. And I will say that like, we don't do all of that on our own. We have a robust team of technical assistants subs that work for us, that help us with some of these things because we do a lot of them, but we are not engineers. We are not GIS mappers. So depending on what the needs are, we have other folks that help us. All right. So what you all came to hear about, the money, stormwater utilities. So I'm going to start with sort of an overview of the stormwater utility fee. We will not call it a rain tax. It is not a rain tax. The fees are not mandated by the state. So as where you have to implement your MS4 permit, you do not have to implement a stormwater utility fee. A lot of the information I'm going to present to you in these first couple of slides comes from a study done by the Western Kentucky University. Every year they do a stormwater utility survey, which is where a lot of this data is coming from. So also important point, you're not the only ones that are talking about a stormwater fee or have implemented a stormwater fee. And these numbers are on the low side because a lot of this is done through self-reporting. So these are ones we know about, but we think the number is probably a lot higher. So there are currently 2,135 known stormwater utilities nationwide. 42 of the states have them. There are 20 in the state of Maryland, and the District of Columbia. And so this is up 284 communities since the 2021 survey. So places are continuing to implement these, and I'll talk a little bit about why. They span the gamut in the size of the place that has them. So the smallest community that the study found that had one is Creek Village in Florida. They have a population of 84, and they have a stormwater utility fee. And the largest one is Los Angeles County, which has a population way bigger than 84. And the average population of the locality or jurisdiction that has a stormwater fee is about 65,000 people, with the mean being 16,000. So they're also found in Canada, France, Australia, and Germany. So they're kind of ubiquitous all over the place. Over the course of all the years they've been doing this study, they've only found 13 utilities that have been put in place and then repealed, which means once people do them, they find them to be useful. People get over this idea of having another fee and they keep them. It's actually kind of a giant pain to repeal one. And the fees also range dramatically in size and rate. So from nothing, or there's one place that has a penny, up to like almost $47 a month. And when we look nationwide, the average fee for a single family home is about $6 a month, which is not, in the grand scheme of things, all that much, with the median fee being about $5. And that map, all those red dots on that previous map, those show you all of the different places where these fees already exist as of the 2024 study. All right.
So I'm a little slow. So basically, what's it going to cost?
Get to that. You determine how much it's going to cost.
But this money we can use towards our own stormwater management plans.
That's the whole idea.
Okay, so it's not going back to the state. We're not just collecting money that goes.
Money laundering.
Yeah.
fee.
Right. Okay.
Your money.
Yeah. Right.
It's all yours.
Well, what I'm getting at is, so the fine people of Charlestown, I'm gonna say, first thing I heard her say was, you don't have to have a fee.
It's right, but you're gonna have to do the stuff.
Yeah.
So
if it's in the budget, you don't have
that's
to.
gonna get out. I guarantee you, before we get to Market Street tonight, somebody out there is already gonna know we don't have to have a fee.
It's only going to be Julie that'll say anything.
But you see what I'm saying?
So Julie, if we hear it on the street,
I do that. And you are not the only person to say that. So I guarantee you 100%, you're not going to say anything I have not heard before.
Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious.
And I will probably have an answer.
Or could I
Not
say,
necessarily, but probably.
your question might have been, why do the places that charge zero? Is it like we're gonna do?
So zero means they don't have a fee. Like if the ones that they said.
Oh, they don't have, I thought they're just like implementing baby stepping, like, we're gonna put this on your bill and it's gonna be 0. Yeah, yeah, so, okay.
I mean, you could do that to like
Yeah.
color people up to the idea. but-
So
but
the
yeah.
zeros then on the
replaced-
previous side,
The
slide,
zeros weren't shown on the map. So like the red dots are actual fees.
right,
Yeah.
okay. Cause I wanted to make sure that those zeros weren't then calculated into the mean. And
No.
So the information you're getting ready to give us, show us.
yeah, let's hear it.
We're gonna get into that.
Thank you.
So, another important thing is, we just like to put this out there, like the data shows that implementation of a stormwater fee is not governed by politics. In fact, the conservative states tend to have more fees than the liberal states. There are 9 states that have over 100 fees in them. And as I said, Canada, France, and Australia and Germany all have them. That map shows you how many fees are in each of the states.
It's the next slide better.
So this is a list of the fees that exist in Maryland at the moment. The most recent one to come online is the one for Emmitsburg. In 2022, we actually, the finance center is who helped them with that fee. And so what you see there, the name of the community, the fee type, that explains there's different ways these fees can be structured. And so on this slide, the T means, and I'll talk about this in a minute, but T means it's tiered. E means it's an ERU. I'll explain what that means. IA means it's based solely on the amount of impervious area. I don't remember what D means because it's not very common. The third one is the ERU, or the square feet of, basically square feet of impervious surface. I'll explain that more in a couple slides. The next column is the monthly fee. So I want to put a caveat here. It's hard to compare fees apples to apples to apples because they can be structured differently, which makes them look very different. Some places assess their fee monthly. Some places assess their fee quarterly. Some do it twice a year. And those decisions are all up to you if you choose to go this route. So what this column does is it breaks it down to what the actual monthly fee would be, even if that's not how the fee is assessed in that place. And you see the year it was created, and then you see the size of the population of the place that has implemented the fee.
We're actually pretty close to Emmitsburg.
Yeah.
In terms of population.
At our MML conference last year, Salisbury did their presentation on the fees and stuff.
Yeah, and they've had theirs for 11 years now. So, okay, next slide. So most fees, but not all of them, most fee structures can be implemented fairly. What you see in that graph is a distribution of the different types of fee types. So clearly some of them are much more common than others are. And I'm going to talk about the 3 most common in a minute. Most fees are based on the total amount of your impervious cover on a property. This would include roofs, driveways, patios, and parking lots. Things that are not included in your impervious cover amount are public sidewalks, public roadways, and structures that are in the public right of way. In general, the idea is the larger amount of impervious surface you have, the larger your fee is going to be, because you have more water running off of your property, which means it's picking up more pollutants, which means you pay more to treat it. The most common structure is by far the ERU, the equivalent residential unit, followed by a flat fee and a tiered rate. And a lot of times so like the tiered rate, for example, is based off of an ERU, and then it's broken down into tiers. Next slide.
So I think the D stands for dual.
Dual, okay. You have my notes. I can't see my notes. So.
I do have a question.
Uh-huh.
Is there any data on, which one of these fees or structures is more amenable to the public?
You mean which one doesn't sting as much?
So I think
Pretty much.
Yes, I mean, I think the answer to that is the most amenable to the public is probably going to be a tiered system that is rooted in the ERU. And I can explain that on the next slide. A flat fee is definitely not going to be the most palatable because everybody's paying the same fee. So you could have a really small property or a really large property, like basically if you're implementing your fee across both residential and commercial and you have a flat fee system, that means your homeowner with a postage stamp lot is paying the same stormwater fee as your Walmart. So the flat fee is inherently not fair and not palatable to most people. The ERU is how we calculate that is we take all of your impervious area for all of your different structures, your single family parcel. You add it all up together, you divide that by the number of residential parcels and you get your ERU. So you're basically figuring out the average amount of impervious area at a single family residential parcel. That study that I referenced, the average ERU across the country is a little over 3,000 square feet. In Emmitsburg, which is much more comparable to you in size, their ERU is about 2,300 square feet. So it's a significantly smaller parcel size. A tiered system, you can get the result of like small businesses being charged too much and large ones being undercharged if you aren't careful about how you do it. And so a tiered system, you basically establish what your ERU is, and then you break that into different tiers. So if you have from this amount to this amount, you pay this fee. And if you have from this amount to this amount, you pay this fee, and so on and so forth. And you can figure out however many tiers you want to have. So like for Emmitsburg, they base it on an ERU and then they have a tiered system. Theirs applies to both residential and commercial properties. Their first tier is basically from their ERU, the middle of their ERU down is their first tier. And then they take the middle of their ERU plus half of an ERU, and that's their second tier. And they pay a specific fee. And then their third tier is large parcels over 4,500 square feet. I think their fee is actually calculated based on their actual amount of impervious area. And that's how you get around your tiered system being unfair, is you charge large parcels, especially if you have a large jump, right? Like if you have a whole bunch of parcels that are under this amount and then you've got a few that are huge, by actually calculating their fee based on the amount of impervious surface, you get a more fair structure to your tiered system. Does that make sense? Yeah. Questions about that? Okay. So those are the three most common structures. And so here's three examples that I pulled. I've been talking about Emmitsburg. They have an ERU system that's tiered. As I said, their ERU is 2,932 square feet. So the average single family residential parcel in Emmitsburg has about 3,000 square feet of impervious surface on it. And then you can see they determined their fee to be $20 a year. And so tier one pays half of that amount, tier two pays the full amount, and tier three is calculated based on the actual amount of impervious surface that they have. They include this fee as a line item on their water, sewer, and trash bill, and it is assessed quarterly. So if you're paying the full $20, you're paying $5 a quarter. The important thing I want to mention here is the billing structure, because just like you were asking about how do you enforce the things in the MS4 permit, right? Like if somebody is not complying, how do you enforce it? You need something with teeth. The same is true here. If you're going to do this, you need to bill it in a way that there are teeth to it. And so, for example, I worked for a long time in Richmond, and when the city of Richmond implemented their fee, they sent it out initially as a freestanding bill. And if someone chose not to pay it, there were no ramifications for that. And they very quickly realized that no one was paying them. So then they moved their fee and they put it into their water bill. And so now if someone doesn't pay, you can shut your water off, right? So you need it to be enforceable. They do not have any exemptions. And what that means is like They chose to apply it across the board. It applies to their town-owned properties, it applies to residential, it applies to commercial, it applies to nonprofits, churches, schools, the whole shebang. Everybody pays the fee. They also don't offer any credits, and what that means is some places do something where, like, if you put a BMP on your property, you can get a discount on your fee, or, you know, if you do certain things, you can get a reduction in your fee. They decided not to do that just because
You get that.
of the
over-
management aspect of
Yeah,
it,
look-
right? Like,
look-
if you're gonna do that, that requires a staff person who's gonna oversee all of those things. And they were just like, we're not big enough, we don't have enough capacity to do it. So they opted not, and their fee is, quite honestly, very, very low. So they just didn't think it was worth it to go into a credit. And so then I just put a sample calculation in there for, that's a large parcel, because they had questions about, like, what are our biggest properties gonna pay? And so, I mean, that's a large amount of impervious area, and that's what they pay their calculated fee. Gettysburg, they have a tiered, they look at residential, they have a residential tier and a non-residential tier. Their ERU is 2,500 square feet, and so then you can see how there's breaks down the difference between Gettysburg and Emmitsburg. Tier 3 in Emmitsburg, they're calculating it. So they're saying, if you're over 4,400 square feet, we're going to actually calculate your fee. In Gettysburg, they're saying their third tier, you just pay $100. So it's less, there's less math involved there. They bill separately on July 1st every year. If you pay your bill in full, you can, for the full year at once, you can get a 2% discount, or you can pay quarterly at the full rate. So it's kind of like, I have my car insurance auto drafted every month, and I pay a little bit extra to do that. Whereas if I paid it all in full, they give me a discount. And again, a lot of those decisions come down to your internal capacity for oversight and billing and management. They also don't have any exemptions. They do offer a credit system there, and then you can see that same property, what their fees are under their system. And it's clearly much larger than what Emmitsburg is doing. And then the last one, Berlin, I put this one in here because they're closest to you of these ones. They have a flat fee for their residential, and then they calculate their impervious area for non-residential. Their ERU, or average impervious for a residential property, is 2,100 square feet, so a little bit smaller. And then single family homes and townhomes pay a flat fee of $50 a year. And then non-residential properties pay $25 per ERU. Again, they bill on their utility bill, and Berlin charges monthly, so you pay your fee monthly. They don't offer any exemptions. They have credits, but they are only for commercial properties and NGOs, and they can get up to 20% off of their fee. And then that last box, again, is the same math for this sample commercial property that you see what the fee is in Berlin. And so these three examples give you an idea of different ways they can be structured, and also how wide the variance in what you're charging is going to be. I will say, I worked on Emmitsburg's fee, and Brian, when you emailed me back, you were like, that seems low. It is very low, and that is not the fee that we recommended.
What do they do with the money? If the fee's low, what are they achieving with
Is the town kicking in the rest?
Yeah, okay.
I know.
Let's
What's the slide?
So I'm gonna get to that answer. The question is always, how do you pay for these things, right? Like you've already heard this evening, you are going to have to do things because of your MS4 permit. Some of them you're already doing, some of them you're not doing. You're gonna have to pay for them somehow. How are you going to pay for these things? Because right now you do not have a dedicated fund to pay for your stormwater management projects. A lot of places that are in the same position as yourselves, they pay for these stormwater things out of their general fund. If you are paying for it out of your general general fund. You can use it for capital expenses. You can also use it for operation and maintenance things. So it can support all of your program costs. The downside of using your general fund to pay for these things is, right, you're taking money away from other things you
Something
need to
else.
do. Grants are great. We love grants. We don't have to pay them back. The downside of grants, especially in the stormwater world, you can use them for capital expenses. You cannot use them for O&M. And O&M is something that we never talk about. We do these things, we put them in the ground, we implement them, but then we don't think about how we're going to pay to maintain them, right? And so a grant will not cover operations and maintenance for things.
Sure.
So they're great for shovel-ready project implementation. They're great for demonstration projects. I'm not going to lie to you. The grant landscape is very unstable at this juncture, especially when we're talking about federal dollars. They're not guaranteed. They're highly competitive. They have limited things you can use them for. The SRF and loan program, so the state revolving fund, that's something else we help people with. Again, you can use them for capital expenses, no O&M. That's the theme here, right? Like, how are you going to pay for this in perpetuity? They can offer up upfront capital for larger projects, like the SRF can be a massive amount of money. But again, it's not a guaranteed funding source. It is highly competitive, and you are most likely going to have to pay it back, often with interest. It's a very low interest rate, but there is interest there. And then you have other options, bond financing, permit development and inspection fees, a stormwater utility fee, and your tax district, special tax district. You'll notice the only ones that cover operation and maintenance are your fee, if you do that, and if you were to implement a tax district. So the benefit of a stormwater utility fee, you can generate sufficient revenue. It is sustainable. It is dependable because you are controlling it. It is equitable if you do it the right way. And depending on how you design your fee, it can support all of your program costs. The downside is, obviously, this requires a lot of public dialogue. It can create some administrative challenges. People oftentimes are not happy to hear about another fee, right? But if you implement a stormwater utility fee, you now have a dedicated line item in your budget that is all your money that is only paying for your stormwater needs. It can't be taken to fix the traffic light. It can't be taken to do anything else. It is solely dedicated to meeting the needs of not only your MS4 permit, but your other stormwater needs as well. And so that is the benefit of the fee.
So I have a question, and it's gonna sound a little redundant.
Uh-huh.
What happens if we just say we just won't do it?
If you're not going to do a fee,
We
not
just
gonna
won't
do
do
that.
anything. And I'm not being rude, I'm just asking a question.
We have to bleed money, I'm sure.
This will be brought up to us by our town people.
question.
Yeah.
Why are we
Say, well,
doing-
why do we gotta do it now? And it's only because,
we were already doing a lot of this on our own. Because we've got the plan. We did that without aid of any of the government being involved. We were doing it on our own. Why can't we just continue doing it on our own?
If you don't, when you say, what if we do nothing, you mean like you're just gonna ignore your MS4 permit
Yes.
too?
yep,
That's
Yeah.
the question.
You will be fined on a daily basis.
Bleed money.
how much will that be about?
I think up to $25,000 or $50,000 per day per violation.
Well,
That was a year, 1 year.
it seems to me, we're being asked to do something that's going to cost us money, and the money that we collect is only going to facilitate the bureaucracy of the program
Yeah.
and not having anything to do with the program. I mean, we could do a utility fee if we were paying money from that fee directly to stormwater management, but we're going to be paying for all these other services of testing and doing all this other stuff that gets in the way of our being able to just take town money and apply it towards town projects.
I don't know that I agree. A simple calculation can profit enough for us to be able to do the like that's the punchline here, the operations and maintenance. I mean, about how much would
How much is it though?
$90,000, $10 a home every month
Right.
for a year?
So if
Yeah.
your question is how much is your fee? It depends on what you want to use it for, right? So like we, for Emmitsburg, they looked at what we looked at what their basic operating costs are. Like, well, we did this 2022. So like, this is what our stormwater expenses are right now. We took all their budgets. We looked at all of their fees, considering salary and all of those other things, right? And then they had a couple projects that they knew they had to do because like the bottom line is a lot of what you need to do for your MS4 permit is going to be stuff that you also just need to do, right? Like you
Clean out your
we
stuff.
have a flooding issue. We have to fix it. Like that is something that you have to do, but it's also part of meeting your requirements of your MS4 permit. So they had a couple key projects that they also wanted to figure out how they're going to fund them because a lot of the stuff is not fundable through grants. It's not fundable through these other means. And so it came down to like, okay, well, we're pulling money out of our general fund, which is going to defray from other needs that we have, or we have to do a fee. And so we looked at different scenarios for what they wanted the fee to cover, looking at their existing budgets, their projected budget for the next year, and looking at the cost estimates they had for some additional projects. And based on all of those things, we gave them a host of scenarios. If you want to cover all of your existing projects and their O&M and all of these other set of projects that you know you're going to have to do and their O&M, it's going to cost you this much money. If you only want to cover existing projects, you need to charge this much money, right? And so it's totally dependent on what you want to use the fee for, what you want to cover, and how forward thinking you're going to be about
But
it.
Richard, did I hear you right? We're already doing stuff.
Yeah.
Why are we being made to do something we're already doing? Now we're getting this permit that we didn't ask for, that you're making us get. Now we have to pay for it. We have to pay for it. We're already doing it. We're doing it through the general funds. Now it's being set up to say, okay, everybody in Charleston, it's okay. We're only going to charge you $6.50 a month. So now there's going to be an additional fee. The state of Maryland does this.
Excuse me, let me be clear. We are not using the general fund current budget. We are using reserves to pay for some of these projects.
Yes.
So if we continue doing this, there is
Correct.
not going to be enough money for it.
But what you said, $90,000.
Point, then like how much did we pay to have the swales and the drains clean, jetted and all of that stuff? Because that wasn't done for 50 years. And this is the stuff that if we get in this program,
we've got to do it routinely and it has to be ongoing and then it becomes an ongoing cost. But you came up with 90,000. I came up with 59,000 doing it at $6.17, which was the average.
I was just going for
if 40,000 of the $59,000 goes into fees and a new employee and insurance and pension and everything to make the program work, then we're only left with,
agreed.
We're not left with much. It's like charities. You know, a charity is one you want to give to when 99% of the proceeds goes to the operations. But when it starts to be a 60-40, then, well, I'm not going to give my money to that.
Well, it's like the first part of the presentation. It depends on how you put that into the work plan, the daily, monthly, weekly, quarterly work plan to have the inspections done. They're minimal. So I think it's manageable to a point. I mean, not fully understanding all of the things that go into it. Yeah, it's just going to be if we want to continue to be scrappy and thrifty, which I think everybody agrees with, there's a way to do it. And it doesn't have to be, $10 a month. That's what was on the screen and times all the things. And would this actually be a benefit? Because stuff cost money. Stuff is gonna continue to cost money. And if we don't do any of it because we want to be stubborn and pig-headed, then we're gonna believe it.
No, that's being pig-headed. It's gonna be for a fact. You
Yeah,
know for a fact that as
I
soon as you
know.
go to the town,
Yeah.
they're gonna be like, no.
but we don't have a choice.
Also think about it this way, forget about the MS4 permit. You don't, let's just say you
doesn't
sue
exist.
the EPA and you were the only people who
We
win.
win.
Yeah.
You don't have to do the
We
MS4
still
permit
have
anymore.
we still have to raise money to go.
Stormwater needs
Millions
that
of
you
hun
need
millions of
to meet,
dollars.
how are you gonna pay for
And
it? So,
let's put it out there that we've had many public meetings with stormwater and that we have standing room only when we have these meetings. So it is an issue. People know that the stuff has to be done and our residents are kicking back to us. We need to charge a fee to make this happen.
Well,
So-
and them want the continual flooding and standing water,
Exactly.
right? You know, so
And-
it's an infrastructure
Yeah. But
advantage.
the residents saying that they're now having 2, 3 sump pumps under their house because of the flooding that is happening.
And every time
So,
it rains,
yeah.
will we get through this one okay?
Yeah.
so.
Yeah.
Here's what Brian and I have been talking about. Next slide. We propose that you conduct a study, a stormwater utility fee feasibility study. Which we will do for you for free.
Oh, thank you.
See, I'm making friends. We did not do this for free for Emmitsburg. So I'll put that out there. The goal would be to help
Emmitsburg.
you. To help your leaders and your residents, to help you make an educated decision about implementing a stormwater utility fee. As I said, the dedicated utility is the most secure and direct way to pay for your existing and future stormwater needs, including those associated with the MS4, but not limited to them, as well as your operations and maintenance. And so what we propose, how we normally do this is sort of a multi-step process. The town would form a stormwater utility committee. That committee would be made of 8 to 10 people who are dedicated to participating every time. Like it doesn't work if you have people come to one meeting and then, they don't show up again. So a small group of people that are dedicated to participating in this conversation. It is a mixed group of people. It involves a couple of the people sitting in this room, but also people that represent your key stakeholders, someone that represents businesses in the community, someone that represents nonprofits or schools or hospitals or whatever, like your key stakeholders. So you have a key group of mixed people. We then evaluate your stormwater funding needs, what you're currently paying for, what you need to pay for, what you want to pay for, but don't have any idea how you're going to do it. We come up with a series of scenarios for you that look at all of those different variables, and then generate a final report for you that basically says, if you do this, you get this, and it'll pay for this. If you do this, you get this, you can pay for this. This is a highly simplified version of that, but that's sort of the process that we went through with Emmitsburg. If you go to the next slide, to give you an idea of what we did with the committee. So like I said, 8 to 10 dedicated members that represent your key stakeholders. We held with them 4 meetings. They were held via Zoom. They were 60 minutes long. We did one a month. And there were basically 2 key goals: to educate the committee about stormwater in general, because we still find that like a lot of people just don't really understand stormwater and the impacts of stormwater and what it actually is, to educate you about the MS4 permit and then the town stormwater funding needs. And then use that knowledge to determine the best structure for the utility fee. And so if you go to the next slide, this is sort of an overview of what we did in each of these committee meetings. In the first one, we talked about Stormwater 101. We talked about the cost of doing nothing. What if you say EPA, shove it, we're not going to do it? What happens? Also, what happens if you just don't meet your own stormwater needs, right? The costs associated with infrastructure failure and flooding and road issues.
Pay me now, pay me later.
Exactly.
Hey, now.
And then we had a discussion with the committee about what are your stormwater concerns for the town, right? In the second meeting, we conducted a level of service analysis. So that basically looked at the existing budgets. What are you currently doing? What is the cost of doing it? What is missing from your current level of service? And then we talked in more detail about other potential financing options. In the third meeting, we presented an overview of the fee structures, more detailed version of what I did this evening. We had a discussion about the different options, and the committee reached a consensus about how they wanted us to approach the fee. They decided they wanted a fee based on an ERU, but they still wanted a tiered system. So then we took all of that information and used it to develop the scenarios of what their fee could look like. And then at the last meeting, we actually came back to them with our recommendations. We presented them with 3 options based off of a variety of scenarios, talked to them about like what we considered in each of those scenarios, how we calculated the ERU, presented all of that to them, and then figured out what the next steps were. And then ultimately we went to their council meeting and presented all of that information. All of their committee meetings, just like this one tonight, were like open to the public. They put them, they were on Zoom so people could come in. We had a public comment period at the end of them. If folks had questions, I'll tell you, we never had anybody from the public come to one of the meetings.
Wow.
Not one person. And then we also, if you go to the next slide, I think I included it, we produced a 1-page summary after each of the meetings that the town then distributed. They put it on their website, they put it in the elevator in town hall, they put it out there to sort of keep people abreast of what we were doing. And then we generated like I said, we generated a report for them. Brian has a copy of that report. He also has, I think I sent you all the presentations we did and everything. And then we provided them with copies of, you know, all of the electronic documents, all of the data and everything that we used in the study and the final report. Ultimately, they passed a fee of $20 a year. The fee we recommended to them was $47. So with that $20, to answer the question of what is that getting them, that's getting them money to pay for what they were doing and nothing else.
Sure.
So they basically covered, they put a Band-Aid on their existing needs and still needed to figure out how they were going to pay for some very large infrastructure projects that they were going to have to do with or without the MS4 permit.
You said show the MS4 permit.
They did not say shove the MS4 permit.
They didn't say it out loud.
I know, no, look, I do this all the time, I know. I grew up in a town like this.
With a bunch of jerks.
But no, they opted to just basically put a Band-Aid on what they were currently doing and said, we'll deal with how we're going to pay for this $3 million stormwater project that we have to do. Had nothing to do with the MS4 permit. We just have to do it. We'll figure out how we're going to pay for that. So pay now, pay later, you know?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And that's the process that we went.
Yeah, I think we're slightly further ahead than where they are then in terms of our plans.
Yeah.
So
Well, we
that's why we're more concerned about
Yeah, because
money.
we're the ones that have been paid, well, the town is the ones that's been paying now because it should have been paid then. And
Little
so
things,
we're
little
already,
things,
we're already hitting that.
That's the place
Fix
that
them.
most people
Exactly.
are in. Like, I think that's really important to understand is like both with the permit coming online and just where you are with your stormwater infrastructure needs in general. Most places are in the same boat, right? Like everybody's grappling with the same questions and the same decisions, and nobody wants to implement a fee. Emmitsburg was also at the same time, they were implementing an increase to both their water and their sewer bill. And so they had concerns about putting a third fee on top of things, which is part of the reason that they lowballed their water utility fee. But the other important thing to think about, and you know, this is something that we discuss in the committee a lot, is like, if you're going to implement a fee and you are never going to change that fee, and it is true whether it's stormwater, water, or sewer, like a lot of places implement them. And when we say they're like, we need money to pay for I just worked with a whole bunch of communities on SRF applications, right? Because they need money to pay for lead service line stuff. And thankfully you all don't have lead service line issues, but like what the conversation is like, how else are you going to pay for this? If you don't want to take the SRF loan, how else are you going to pay for this? When's the last time you raised your rate? Never. We've never raised our rate. We implemented our drinking water fee 20 years ago. We've never raised our rate. If you're never going to raise your rate, you need to make sure that you set a fee that is going to get you into the future, because otherwise you're just doing yourself a disservice, right? And so that's another thing that needs to be part of the conversation is like, nobody wants a fee. The fee needs to be manageable. And I think that there's also things that you can do if you have concerns about, like, you don't have to apply it across the board. So if you have a whole bunch of churches in town and you don't want to make churches pay the stormwater fee, like, you're the ones who are deciding how the fee is structured, right? And so like you can say, we don't want nonprofits to have to pay it. We don't want churches to have to pay, or we'll give them a credit, or like you have complete control over what the process looks like. But you have to find a balance between, what does your fee look like and what are your needs? And when push comes to shove, most people are going to get over it. It's not going to be so dramatic. $5 a month
Doesn't get you a whole lot.
I'm not even a coffee. I mean, I just went to Royal Farms and paid $14 for my dinner. So like, $5 a month is not.
Well, because $5, what it can get the town collectively is a great stormwater system that's maintained for the future.
And honestly, if you wanted to be shady about it, most people wouldn't even notice. If you just put it on the bill and didn't tell them, most people.
No.
I know that you think they don't notice, but
Mary's phone's gonna blow up.
Implemented a $2 fee for postage,
And getting your bill.
yeah.
for mailing bills, it's postage, time, and what's the stationery.
Stationary.
And yes, they noticed.
We had to have the cops down here.
$2.
Walk us out of here.
If it's not called out as a line item, right? Like some places it's just part of the water bill, right? Like it gets added into the water bill. It's not. People don't.
I know.
We have 10 people that
I
will
have people
notice.
in my office who don't know what their stormwater fee is.
We have 10 people that will notice a
And they
penny.
put it on.
And then they put it on the residents of Charlestown. They're trying to get over on us again.
So
Instantly.
Slim Shady.
I would never suggest you make it shady. I'm sorry.
Right.
Like most people, if your water bill goes up or down $5 in the average month, most people don't even think about it. It's just like, oh, well, I wash more clothes or I wash my car more times or whatever.
You
So
justify it.
yeah.
No, you're taking your car to the car wash because you don't.
Because Ray needs.
It's like cold water.
The water coming out.
Yeah.
It's like cold water.
That's part of your MS4 program.
Yeah.
No more community car washes.
Table of residents. And you have to advocate for residents.
I would never suggest you do it shady. I'm just saying, like, as a point, I mean, I have, my boss lives in Silver Spring, and when I showed her this table the other day, she was like, wait, when did Silver Spring start a stormwater fee? I was like, I don't know, Jen, you don't know you're paying it? I mean, like, and we work in this field, so I think that people get over a small fee relatively quickly. There's like, and case in point, we didn't have one person come. I mean, when we worked with Emmitsburg, Zach was like, we're going to have people at every meeting. We had special protocols in place for how we were going to handle questions and how they were going to, when they were going to be unmuted and if they had to type them in. And like, we had this whole system in place. We did not have one person show up.
We will have one person show up at least as soon as we say, you're gonna raise and pay a fee.
Since we even talk about, like I said, the stormwater, whenever we have open meetings just about stormwater, it's over at the firehouse and it's packed.
Well, I mean, and I think that that's good because people need to be aware of it, right? It's just,
They're aware of it.
The water runs dry.
They had to get their canoe to get to the meeting.
Then it becomes a question of like, how are you educating them, right? And that's what those
That's,
two
that's
MCA.
how we're gonna have to explain that we're being mandated by the state to do this, that it's.
It's 30 old states making it.
Not
I mean, we have no choice.
And
We
that's,
They wanted to do $100
no
house,
And this
you
is-
got it down to 30.
and this is one of the reasons
Yeah.
I wanted to have this tonight.
For you. Fine.
This is one of the reasons I wanted to have this tonight, so that it's a
Yeah.
precursor.
Yeah, well, yeah. Yeah, I know,
Everybody-
everything we're doing.
Too. Till it comes time to pay for it.
Like everybody wants clean water. They just don't want to pay for it. I
Right.
mean, that's
Yeah.
the reality of the situation. Clean water is not free. And when you live in a place like this, your water concerns are compounded by things that other places don't have, right? I mean, like, I don't really have to worry about sea level rise so much in DC. I don't, it's just making people understand the how and the why of it, right? And
We need to charge Rising Sun, we need to charge all these other towns more money.
Because it all comes down.
Coming
to
down the
the-
hill, girlfriend,
Yeah.
coming down the hill. I think you brought water with you. I think.
Yeah. I
I
said
think you brought
Calvin.
water with you. They're
Yeah.
up here, we're here. Where's water going?
Uh-huh. Half the least reason.
All right,
I mean,
$10 per resident, Rising Sun paying, $2 resident, Charlestown paying.
That's
I'm gonna be with Travis next week. I'm gonna tell him, I'm sorry, you gotta pay us.
Yeah, we definitely gotta have, and that's what I'm saying, everything you're telling us about what we have to do and how we're going to be punished if we don't do it is going to help.
Yeah. Just-
Save us to get the town to.
Be on board.
You asked the question of how much it costs if you just ignore it.
Yeah.
I looked it up in the permit. So the fines range, the lowest is $10,000 per violation. The highest is $100,000 per violation.
Per day.
Per
Per
day.
So
day.
you can find,
The
like, if
cheapest
you
is 10.
Per
What
day.
it is.
10,000 per day, all the way up to $100,000 per day per violation.
Have they been successful in
Yes.
getting it
Yes.
and getting the money?
Well,
Montgomery
then we
County,
have
Montgomery
criminal
County, French
charges
Martin
against
County.
Hmm.
Both of them have been under consent decree and had to pay.
jail.
Now, usually there's a negotiation process for non-compliance. and they-
You know that those numbers mean a lot when we're talking to the people. That's like, this is
Yeah,
what's gonna
yeah.
happen.
Or civil and criminal charges associated with it as well, so.
And then it also escalates from MDE to the EPA. So like if you go under consent decree for
Then we're good there
being
because
in
there's nobody
violation
left
of
in the
your
EPA.
permit.
Oh, that's- You're good.
They're still there.
The ones that collect the money still there.
And what I was also told, because of all the things that are going on in federal government, is that the state of Maryland can be more stringent than what the federal government is. So even if that goes away,
Mhm.
the state of Maryland is not.
Right, the states are only required to meet the minimum that the EPA sets forth. They can be more restrictive. And I live in the district and that is definitely the case in the district. They are more restrictive and they don't have a state, like they are the state and they're the local and the state. So they report directly to the EPA, but their requirements are much stricter than what the EPA
How
requires.
much does Baltimore pay?
I don't know.
In terms of what they paid for their consent decree.
Their
funds.
storm, water drain, all.
They have fines, don't they?
Yeah, they did, yeah. But they had consent decree issues with their wastewater treatment plant that was independent of
I do know that.
the
It's
MS4.
and everything.
It was going into the.
But I mean, jurisdictions have tried to fight it. They've filed lawsuits. It's gone to court, it's gone all the way up.
Hmm.
And they've not been successful.
The legal fees plus regular
And then
fees
you
per day.
still, you
You
still.
still gotta pay it.
Still have to do the
You
thing.
gotta pay the piper.
And plus the cost of doing the things you need to do, right?
Mhm.
Right,
Yeah.
it's not just the cost
Yeah.
of doing the
That would get
additional.
lost in the
things,
shuffle.
it's the cost of
Regular.
And how
things
many,
you were gonna do anyway.
how many decades has it been since Charlestown raised anything?
Actually, it hasn't been decades.
It's been, the last time the water fees were 7 or 8 years ago. It was the last time I was on the board. It was like the year before I left. There was a tier thing.
That's a whole nother issue. That's not even, that has
I
nothing to
know,
do with
that's
this.
the last
Just
time.
regular water.
Water, the sewer. And
Thing
the
is,
sewer is
it's the
raised
debt
by the county.
By 1,000 pricks is what it is. Every time you turn around,
Yeah.
there's a fee
Mhm.
or a charge or something goes up on that. That's the
Sitting-
problem.
Sitting in the house last
And you're
year.
right, we need to do it because at some point it's just gonna collapse. And then
it costs a lot more money.
yeah,
So,
then how much it
And
is.
that's
so
part of Maryland is that we are feed to death, but
Yes.
we
as
have
soon
to
as we
be.
raise this, none of us will be here in 2 years.
See you
Well, we should
later.
be paying it.
We will have
We'll
to
be paying it,
implement
but-
it.
But they'll kick us out in 2 years.
They
They'll
can
have
be
us
mad
outta
at
here.
other people.
But like Michelle said, it's not likely that that fee will get repealed.
You may
Right,
all be
it's
gone,
very
but the
hard.
fee will, the
Oh,
fee
The fee will live on.
Yeah. Our legacy, yeah,
Yeah, that's what
exactly.
they'll remember, so everything else we did,
Think- What that did this to me.
It'll be on your tombstone.
they'll be painting their houses.
Here lies, then of the stormwater fee.
Stormwater fee.
But in all seriousness,
dam
like,
plant.
this is a very common conversation, both on the MS4
Mm.
permit side and on the stormwater fee
Right.
side. And, I think that, one of the most important talking points to the residents is the fact that, like, this is not us, like, we are not being singled out. We're not the only ones that are facing these things. It is ubiquitous, not just in Maryland, not just throughout the Chesapeake Bay region, but like.
Is that the Misery Loves Company?
So when we end up having these meetings, you're saying you will be here also?
For the committee meetings, yeah, like we would run them for you. Like
Okay.
we come in as the
Okay.
non-biased, impartial, third-party bad guy,
But
right?
we need to let the residents know that they're not the ones implementing the fees.
Well, no, I'm here for free. There's
No, the fees.
No,
No,
the fee-
no,
oh, yeah.
I know, I'm.
No, it'll.
No, because
It'll
they'll,
come
they'll,
back.
they'll be rude.
Mission.
Oh,
There'll be people that will be rude.
we're thick-skinned.
I'm not even that thick. I'm thick skinned.
You didn't lose your, you didn't hurt your one feeling you have left?
Not up to the home.
Okay.
Aw.
Creed's got it, he's laying on it right there.
Do you have any fee questions? Like.
It's gonna stink. People
mean,
are gonna be mad.
You know, if the
like,
state has any money that they can help us with this. I know the answer, but I was just wondering.
Really.
And we thank you because you guys definitely
Yeah.
answer a lot of hard questions
Definitely.
and we're very.
Somebody else asked about how many outfalls you have to inspect every year. It's 20% per year.
20% of what?
So of your total number of outfalls.
Outfalls.
So if you have 10 outfalls, you're doing 2 a year.
So how do we know how many outfalls we have?
You tell us.
It's that in
on that
the-
report.
They
It's
did
on
that
that
already.
report.
Oh,
Stormwater. plan.
Correct.
I'm trying to find it where I wrote.
And you don't have to do, so like if you are only having to do 2 a year,
20%?
you can also do 2 different ones every single
Do we
year.
have 10, how many?
We're finding that.
Do we have alcohol,
Waiting.
Brian?
Oh, I gotta look it up.
Oh, I thought you were looking at it.
For the larger jurisdictions, they have to do 100 a year. But
It's a number.
we're
yeah,
just debating.
20% or up to 100. So
Mm.
you would, however many you
Won't
have.
be 100.
We don't, I don't think we have 100.
No.
I'd be thinking somewhere probably
20%.
15 to
Yeah, so
20.
need to be tested yearly, right? Awesome.
All at one time.
Rob, you could get that done in one Saturday.
Just send it to you guys, not that long.
I will also say the other thing that we,
But
I've
tested
talked to Brian
positive
about
for
helping you
vodka.
with is like, thinking about your.
I'm sorry, what?
The other thing I've talked to Brian about is,
My mom told me
The
about
waste
it.
of vodka.
is helping you be forward thinking about how you can be prepared for some of these MCNs. Not just the education ones, but also
The harder
some of
ones.
some of the other ones, right? And they helping you, what is gonna minimize the work that you have to do for the MS4 permit is thinking about what you're already doing, that you just have to document. Like, we're already doing this, we just have to
It
write it
feels
down.
like, to me, we do a lot of it already. It was number 3 that was gonna be the harder one.
That was
You
the
just
only
have
one
to
that we
integrate,
haven't, if we didn't.
have
do
to.
it.
And the thing is,
Yeah.
we might as well implement how to keep them, how to maintain it. Everything else
I
we've
love
done.
that idea.
Yeah, because if we don't, and we
Then-
said this at the very beginning, that we're gonna do all this work for it to be nothing, so then we're doing all this work and
And
we
we're
need
so
to.
mad at it not having been done,
Yeah.
at a Band-Aid here.
And that's what, we can't do any more Band-Aids. It
Every
has
bench
to
has
be,
You know, I will, and I'll be good to past councils and stuff. Some people just didn't know.
True.
I mean, we have some expertise in here in certain areas.
Did we find that
that
information out?
Other ones didn't have, and that's why I'm not gonna say that they just didn't know.
Well, I mean,
And
but
other regulations have come down
that was
since
my
then.
point. You look at the timeline and now
Yeah,
it's
so,
like.
you know, there's
As-
just more stuff that's falling down on us.
as the state mandates non-funded regulations, it's just stuff that we have to.
Come up with out of,
So these things that are fun, and it doesn't have to be, any certain time of the year, we can do it whenever we see to do it, as long as it's dry.
With the
As long as you
guidelines.
fill out the report at the end of in
Yeah, so
July
the
or whenever
current-
yeah.
Yeah, for the current permit, they have to submit their annual report by October 31st of each year. They report on the fiscal year, so it would be July 1st through June 30th. And then they
Report
submit
right
the,
on time.
they submit their annual report by October 31st.
Jessica, do you think we identified in that report the number of outfall? I see number of pipes. The storm drain.
Oh, yeah, I don't
Am I looking at the wrong one? Sort of.
know if we,
I don't know how many pipes we have, but
yeah, but that's not, yeah, you have to look at where they are actually, where they actually outfall. That may not be mapped in your infrastructure. It's not a difficult thing to figure out, looking at,
a little bit of the GIS exercise.
yeah, but it's not difficult.
Remember, for the watershed master plan, we identified 63 inlets that we had to get invert elevations for. I kind of feel like our outfall number is around 50.
That's in.
We go out on a limb. It might be less.
Maybe less.
And
Because you're looking at anywhere that a pipe discharges into a water body. So anywhere it discharges you have a pipe discharging into a creek, there's a threshold on size. So, you don't have to test a real small, like 6-inch pipe that's a roof leader extension or that kind of stuff. I think the minimum pipe size is 12 or 16 inches.
So much.
reduce on the ends.
Oh, dear.
Probably gonna be a fun group.
You haven't even seen it.
Being calm.
This is a walk into the meeting, we knew nothing. This is all from the top of our head.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
Is there anybody that wanted, Julie, Ken, did you guys want to say anything? Any questions?
No, thank you. I'm good. Thanks, everyone.
Ken, wake up.
You might not be able to. This is true.
They're working on my son's car.
Jessica and Michelle, is it all right if I share your PowerPoint presentations with Jane?
Can you put them online too, please?
Oh, yeah.
It was quite informative.
Very.
Very
You
important.
want us to put it on the watershed master plan?
You guys act like you've done this before.
If you
I
can
won't
find
ask
it,
what the MFA
not like a button that I touched. I was like, where is it? I had to like search it.
building house permit. But it doesn't cost anything. Remember that.
Yeah.
It's free.
Yeah, enough.
Thank you
know,
very,
that
very
was
much.
good.
Very informative.
Give me your feet.
Um,
Kick them.
So we're gonna move to another topic. Is there anything else that you guys have for us? A lot of things to think about. Okay,
I assume, Brian, I'll hear from you about how we're gonna push things forward and And if you haven't, you can share the Emmitsburg stuff I sent you. That's all on our website, so it can be shared. If not,
Okay, I'll do that too.
public knowledge.
Thank you so much.
Ladies, be safe on your travels.
Yes.
Thank you for coming.
You too. Right there in the corner. That's a door to go into a door.
There's another door and
Another
there's,
door in there. There's a light switch right inside the first one.
and then there's a door to the outside and the outhouse is about 20 feet.
There is one.
But there's a guy with a lamp.
Have a good night.
Hey, did we put the light in there yet or no? We still have the lamp?
Put it in the plot.
There's a light right inside that door. Yeah. Okay. Moving on, we're going to talk about cemetery management, that Mary and Brian put together.
So we got an updated proposal today from Sims. Because the previous one did not include the ground penetrating radar. as we talked about.
That was what we
So, sorry, we got it kind of late, so I've got that.
Share it.
Yeah, sure.
I saw it somewhere. Where I found it somewhere.
Yeah, it was in an email.
Yeah, we had something. You
I
said
looked at it
something and
before I
don't
came
know
over.
where it was.
No,
I saw something on the cemetery.
sent out. The original was sent out.
Not the new.
Yeah, not the second
Okay.
one.
So we have two options. We've got Sims and we also have, what is it called exactly?
All three.
For university, the GIS option.
What's here?
So
What's it?
No, I need to stand.
both options are kind of comparable, as far as the software and the work that would need to be done, except for the fact that the GIS option does not include, ground penetrating radar, but Sims can offer that. So this depends on how much information we want to put out there and how robust we want it to be. So basically what they would do is map everything for us based off of our records, GIS, imaging, and coming out, if we opt for the ground penetrating radar, they would actually get every little thing for us. Where's the pricing? So,
Page 12.
is that okay?
This is like the extras. I think, what was the base rate?
I think it's the page prior. There you go. Okay, so light is pretty simple. It's quite simple. There's not really much graphics or anything involved in it. Gold was a little bit higher than that, and then the platinum is the whole shebang. Everything.
It's basically like digitizing our paper records.
It's the difference between, yeah, the difference between, well, it's all
Just like buying a
digitized.
casket.
It is.
No, it's just the light gold platinum.
What it was explained, I will say, what it was explained is our paper stuff,
Mhm.
they will take that.
They'll take it and they'll clean it and, yeah.
Digitize it.
Yeah.
Digitized. They would put all of the
Yeah.
records
Yes.
together for
And
us.
do we have enough records that they can make sense of it? I mean, have the records been kept good enough over the years that the money we spend will be worth spending?
Something to see.
And
Yeah.
also to put like a picture of the tombstones that are there.
Oh, okay.
So there'll be like some kind of a catalog
Yeah.
where
Yeah.
Platinum,
Within
platinum is
Goodness.
To Richard's
But-
point, it's only gonna be as good as the records
As
we have
the stuff, yeah.
now. There are holes in our records, yeah.
Mhm.
you don't have use for that.
Yeah.
I have to ask something stupid.
What is the
Favorite.
plus 1,000 a year? What is that?
That's the stupid I was asking.
For
That's what we were
the
talking about,
maintenance
right?
of the
What's that?
software.
You're searching.
So we gotta pay them $1,000 every year?
Basically, the platinum.
Probably for upgrades, I guess, right?
Not only like a software we would use, but it's something that is, resident facing. Anybody could go to our website to look at it, to search, to do any of that. And on our end would be keeping the proper record, who purchased this, who to contact, who to create deeds if we have anything to sell. And it's just it encompasses everything. But if we went with the light or the gold option, it's just not as entailed. I don't think that those first two options have the the resident facing option.
It's a one-time fee of $7,500 and $1,000 a year.
But could somebody come into town hall and ask specific questions or call
Yeah, they
on
can
the
look at
first
it.
or second?
Sure, but, oh, yeah, absolutely.
How much time is it gonna take to
Yeah.
do the search? For a person who doesn't paper records.
Well, it'd be all digital,
Oh.
I think, at that point, but
So-
nobody can search it.
How,
except
I don't
somebody
think
in-
that how user friendly it is.
But will
really.
we end up with a map
Yes.
that,
Pull
that's
up
got
Sam's
everything?
You
Webpage.
literally pull up the cemetery and say lot 750.
Yeah,
I'm
Seven
asking them,
yeah.
I'm asking Brian to pull up the Sims webpage. There's
Okay, they've
actually,
got it, yeah.
okay,
Hope they don't see Rob Reinhardt.
Annapolis's Naval Yard uses this stuff.
Okay.
The person is in Frederick, that is,
Right.
our local person. But it,
So one question though, their timeline shows, 16 weeks from the time of starting to onboarding and training.
you can't look up Sims, cause it's got, you have to look up cemetery. Cause Sims is gonna pull up, computer,
Imaging or whatever.
yeah. I tried this. If you pull up Sims, it brings up all of this electronic computer stuff. There. But one thing they showed is that we can go on here to look at. There, see how that,
Okay.
okay? So you can go there, you can actually go to search, pull up a person's name. It'll take you to where that person is. You can click on them. You can have little things that says somebody's buried there or it's to be, like, somebody has purchased the lots. To be determined. You can also mark who is the veterans over there. You can do all that. And when you click on one of those little boxes, it'll bring up, like, because we have all paper, they'll digital put that in there. And then from that point on, if there's something new, that can be typed
Right.
in. And a picture of the tombstone and all that. So it helps a lot
Yeah.
with genealogy and all that too.
Right.
So
But no,
If we pay for that, okay.
a lot of the tombstones over there are so worn that how do they do any kind of transfers or anything to try to lift?
talking down at APG,
Yeah,
because I've been talking to
Oh,
the
okay.
cemetery guy down there. He gave me the names of biodegradable chemicals that'll help
Okay, to
lift
do-
it
yeah,
back
li-
up.
oh, okay.
And it just needs,
How does that go with our stormwater management?
Counterproductive.
Yeah,
An acid.
and
Milk is
for
diluted with an-
this, with the ground penetrating, and talking to our cemetery managements down at APG, I was
Mhm.
telling them about Lot
right,
B,
up there.
and that it's sitting like this, and it's been there since 1742. And I said, there's only a couple tombstones, so we don't even know what's over there because we
Right.
don't have any records.
Yeah,
He said, it's sitting on a hill. It's probably, the tombstones may be underground. And
Yeah.
that's
oh,
part,
okay. Yeah,
and
it
it's just
fell over and,
fell over and the
silt
dirt,
and-
silt
yeah,
and everything
yeah.
that's gone over it. And he said,
yeah,
you actually want to have the ground penetrating because it could see things that you
you're
can't.
not, yeah,
And it
yeah.
could be a foot to 2 feet underground because of,
yeah, runoff, yeah.
And did I see in one of the things there, it was up to 2.25 or 2.5 acres they would do, which we are well under.
Yeah.
Mm.
There was something
and they would even go over, because when we were
CMS
talking to
set up
them,
for 2.25.
we said this one, which we have records, but
Can you downgrade?
it
from the
doesn't
platinum?
always, not everything is there.
Right.
And the church may have, but I know Mr. Miklas, he had all that stuff and it was all written down. I don't know if we have everything and he's now passed. So I'm not sure if the church has stuff over in the safe. I know that they have records of any services that they've done, but I know we would have to talk to, the local Crouches, Pattersons, Ford, to see what they have, because the one person that was looking stuff, and this is why this all came up, is in December, there was somebody looking, that his father found out that he had a twin at birth,
and didn't know about it until like a year ago or the past 6 months. And he's like elderly and dying and wanted to know where she was buried over here. And the tombstone only has a letter on it. So they got the records from Patterson's and they said where it was. And that's how I found it. So it's things like that that people should be able to look online. I know many years ago when we put all of our meeting minutes back to 1742 online, and nothing changes if you ever go back and read those. There was a lot of people that had interest in that because they were going back to see if there was a family member's name that was mentioned and all that kind of stuff. So we do have 25,000 that was in a CD that's supposed to be only used towards cemeteries. And but people want to know if we have any lots over here, but with the ground penetrating, because we don't actually know where everything is and how they're buried, they can actually map it out and say which way the caskets are.
Skip the pricing then for ground penetrating radar.
There we
Yes.
go. Oh,
Yeah,
'cause
okay, 'cause that's more.
Oh,
Right.
but wait, there's more.
Yes.
that's the 16,000
They
thing.
have
on
different
top.
options. It looks like they've got drone imagery.
Ryan, can you put that up?
But GPR for,
5 foot, 8 foot.
for the one across the street. A lot one and lot two.
Take it all in.
That's
What I thought I saw.
Yeah.
Plus
All of them.
7,500. Plus 1,000.
So we're over our 25,000. If we-
Think about, the annual fees are probably for the, software and keeping that going,
Yeah.
posting and everything. You have to factor that in. Brian.
But if we do that, we might be able to sell more lots,
Right, and regenerate. Yeah.
regenerate.
Yeah.
What do they go for?
How many lots is there to sell?
We don't know.
That's why we have to do the thing.
It's always
Ground
100.
Penetrating radar is really a critical piece.
Yeah.
It's like, what's underground? We don't know.
We don't know.
Do we want to start opening up aisle plots?
And that's part of what we need to look at because we don't know where people are
Very
buried. Are they this way, and
Like
we don't
this.
know.
You're so silly.
And if we do put it in the aisles, is it really gonna hurt? For, to get more people in there because we do have people that want to be buried over here.
They'll be able to tell you within the inch if there's something there.
Yes.
Pretty accurate.
Oh,
Um,
within an inch.
so then the other option that we have is the Eastern Shore Regional GIS Cooperative, and that's through, Salisbury.
They don't have the ground.
No, but, so they don't list on here if they have like any sort of annual
Ryan.
fees.
Right, I was watching this.
And they will not negotiate.
Well, so they have this listed by task here. Task 1 is data layer development. Task 2 is vacant lot identification. Task 3 is public cemetery data viewer development. And total cost for the project would be $9,685.09. It does not list on here any sort of annual fees, so I'm assuming that this is part
One and done.
of GIS. This is not like a program or anything. But it would be something that people would be able to click on.
So we haven't, could we explore, we go with Sims and tell them we're gonna give you straight up $20,000 to do it all. And we'll give you $1,000 a year to maintain. And it doesn't hurt. They can tell us no, and then we can tell them, well, we're not gonna use any help.
Well, their ground penetrating is actually a subcontractor to them.
And that's what they're gonna have
Yes.
to,
They'll get
everything's
creative.
negotiable.
You know what? You're right.
Unless you ask.
Go and say, look, we've got $20,000 and that's it. We have,
And we're
that's our
such a
fund.
small space, then we should,
No.
We have 3
Can you do it
cemeteries.
for this?
well, collectively.
We do have to determine if the other two are ours and like the specific coordinates of it.
We need it for ours.
I mean, it doesn't hurt to,
We weren't really sure if they were, we have to find differences.
Oh,
Oh,
Lot B, if you look on the map on the on the real property, It's one of those properties that does not have anything on there, which shows that it's ours because we haven't claimed it. And over here where the slave cemetery is, I
Got a
mean,
bunch of husbands buried.
yes.
We don't know.
So, that only has stones that are put there, so we don't really know
Even anything under there.
there is.
Okay.
It's just, we don't know.
I mean,
And I've heard over the years, because that was overgrown for so long, that the stones have moved.
well, if we do this, are we doing all three, or would we
Well, is that the
would we
right?
possibly only do across the street?
Mhm.
For the other two, the one that's on Caroline, I gave them a specific area, but the one that's on Cecil, I couldn't really give them an understanding. They said lot 1 would be $3,699, and lot 2 would be $2,399. That's just an estimate, because they couldn't go off of the GIF.
So about $6,000 to do the two small ones.
But, and that doesn't include the
That is not
ground,
ground
That is not
penetrating.
that is a ground penetrating.
So, I mean,
Yeah, those are the ground penetrating radar costs for
Yeah.
all three cemeteries up there.
The
That's in the
16,799.
16,799. That includes everything?
Lot
Yeah,
1, lot 2,
there's-
Oh, so I see.
Historic.
honestly,
Oh,
those are included in the original, like the
7,500.
Looks like Bobby's getting out there with his back up.
don't tell him that, 'cause he'll be like, I'll do it. I'll do it.
So bad.
said I needed these other two lots to be on here for ground penetrating radar, but I didn't think to ask. Is this included in the initial
Right.
thing? Because we did talk about that.
We
with her.
did talk
We
about
talked
it.
about all of that. And she apologized and said, I'm sorry for not including this, so.
Well, I think Rob's got a good idea. I mean, if it's 16,799 and they could throw in the other two smaller cemeteries in that
20.
price, yeah.
And then we say, well,
And-
And then do
And then-
75 for the,
25 altogether.
Right, yeah.
with the term
Just
and
under
the-
$23,000 for the three lots. Yeah, but-
you're thinking they're not
It's
negotiable.
not just like,
But
you know.
that
walk
doesn't
out
include the
and-
7,500, right?
Nothing's easy. but
Or you sure we
one
had a
thing for sure is,
conversation on the send
How
about
busy are they?
There you go. How hungry are they?
How hungry are they? And haven't eaten.
Maryland has just instituted
I'm
new
just saying it's
cemetery
worth a-
fees.
I would say yes. I mean, just to do the 20,000 to see if they would do all
25,
three.
or say, if we do 25, what we have, 25, and they do all three at 25, and then we pay the fee, but this is what we have, we don't have any
For the
more. We're
ground
not gonna give
You
you.
asked the
to
question, is
25.
that the three fees, is that just for the ground penetrating?
Wait,
and-
one person at a time.
To clarify,
Please.
we're talking the platinum, 7,500 plus 1,000 a year.
Yes.
Plus the 3 ground penetrating. radars.
Yes.
You want
Eight
that
and
for
3.
20,000.
25,000.
To spend that CD that we had.
Mhm.
Rob,
Okay, but where's the 1,000 every year gonna come from?
That's.
We're gonna make that up
Have to come
later.
up With that.
So Rob, if you read the fine print on there, there's something that says a data-free value, it's secured by this, so they did include some.
There is some in,
Oh, includes port, EPR, open GPS, SIMS integration and field data free.
So is that everything
The
then?
value of 2199, 499.
they're mapping it on the GIS as they're,
They're adding, yeah, all the stuff in.
that doesn't include the input with the data, which is a separate thing.
Digitizing.
I'm just saying, it doesn't hurt to say, this is what we have.
What can you do with it?
No.
I want it all.
This
for
is what we
price.
have.
Do it.
Do we have to go after other people, or can you guys do all three areas with the ground imaging? And then we will gladly pay you the $1,000. And it might be more than $1,000.
But you have to
with-
prove.
With the other two lots, I don't know.
Right, like we want platinum for the other two lots.
But anyhow, that's the number, and we have to be clear. Once you're done, that's all you're getting paid is the 25.
Are
That's
there
it.
other companies that do this?
This is a niche company.
Yeah, I don't know that there are too many.
They might not, they might tell us to go get bent, but until we ask, we don't know.
I'm just,
That's what we have.
yes, it's, the ground penetrating is a key thing here
I agree.
because
After
Yeah, what you
talking
got?
to our cemetery people down at the base, he goes, you need to do the ground
Oh,
penetrating.
I was sold on it when I saw it at the thing. It's just,
It was me and you that,
yeah.
yeah, okay, so, but when I talked to him, and he said about the fact of since 1742, it's most likely all those a lot of tombstones are under the ground because they fell over
And then you
and
just got
this
growth.
growth on top
Mhm.
of it.
And there's nothing ever easy, but you end up setting up, you come in and you're either making 100% profit or you're making 70% profit.
Yes,
Mhm.
That's the way it rolls.
They can make 100 on somebody else.
and over here, we have some records.
And we can just say, can you donate to the Lord?
There you go.
I think some of it, we're gonna have to reach out to the 3 funeral homes and see, do you have records for Charlestown? And we're gonna have,
Mary Ann's too, though, like the old
Uh,
churches in the area.
so we just need to look at a lot of things and maybe, like she said, talk to the churches because funerals are at the
Mhm.
churches, and just see if that helps. Because there's people that have their services at other churches and then come here to, thank you, Jean. But it's something that we really have to think about because this has been talked about way too long and we need to do, this is another project we need to do and people are asking
It's probably only gonna get more.
to have lots.
Yeah, I agree.
I appreciate it.
That stuff that they use is not cheap,
No,
that radar stuff.
Mm-mm.
but they said when they do that, they have the drone, they have everything that's coordinating with it, that they are seeing where everything is. But I'm not saying we're using that company, but I liked how the basis is that you can click on where the person is and then there's like, it tells if a person's a veteran. And they were telling me down there that there's things, if somebody's buried that is a veteran, there's actual monies out there to help with those tombstones. So,
Wow.
so,
So there might be some money for upkeep.
upkeep.
Mhm.
So,
Would that upkeep money be then spent for the possible
$1,000.
annual fee?
no, it has to be for the
That spot.
upkeep of the actual tombstone.
Grounds.
The grounds.
Well,
Probably not gonna be a
knowing
lot of
the
money.
grass there out of the beginning,
There you go.
Reading the markers.
I gotta get that. He sent it to me in a Teams link, so I will get the name of that. To spray on not biodegradable chemical. I see it on TikTok that they go,
Sanitarian
You
on
could take that.
Facebook has it. This guy goes all over the place and does nothing but clean the store.
yes,
Like Simple Green or something?
Oh, no.
no,
No.
uh-uh.
It's
It's an enzyme, it's an enzyme cleaner,
Like the marble and stuff, it'll eat the marble.
Yes.
A lot of stuff.
but
Oh,
it's,
food.
it's.
Guy even drinks it.
Vodka?
So he gave it to me. I just don't have it right now. I don't have, because
I'm gonna
it's
give
on
it
that
half
computer.
Richard, I might give it a half.
Okay, so, is there any further discussion? I know we still need to get some information, together. But it's something that we need to really talk about because people are asking and we can't answer.
Can we send them a little,
Yeah, we can follow up so that we can report at the next meeting.
and we need to make sure that we're kind of like very, adamant.
What that is.
I'm gonna meet for that.
I
I'm
can't
asking you
remember.
tonight.
I can't, it's,
$33. Cheap.
okay. So, is there a motion to move into our executive meeting that we're gonna talk about? Well, there is,
Sam Elliott, do you have any public comment?
are you done lifting weights?
No, I'm good.
I just want to make sure we ask.
That was generous.
Kenneth, put the dumbbells down.
He's laughing at you.
It's 16th set.
I can run faster scared and he get mad.
Jane, do you have any comments?
You guys have to go into executive session after I go to the bathroom before I get
You
back.
can
in.
go into the bathroom.
You bet.
We're gonna be talking about, personnel, and, about the budget. So,
You're gonna come back out afterwards and make any announcements?
No.
My job is done.
yeah. So thank you, everybody. Is there a motion to adjourn?
I
Is there a motion to adjourn to executive session?
will. After finish the meeting.
Make a motion
You did a
to
really good job.
go to executive session.
Second.
Yeah,
Second.
there we go.
Never heard.
I know, it's your best
Robert's
offer.
house rules of misorder.
Read and talk